Hey, how's it going, future bowyers? Bowyer, you know what that is? Person who makes bows. What is this? Oh my goodness, this is bone broth that's been cooking in a pot for 4.5 days. And then I threw a nice shot of sea salt in it. Oh man. Superman food. Drink a cup of that every day, guys. Oh yeah, what is Steve-O doing today? I'm out here playing around. Look at this. Miss Daisy made me a sign for my bucket of clamps. Then I went to Harbor Freight and I got to looking at these little guys and I started squeezing them. I said, wow, the power of that, I love it. All right, so I bought up another 10. I got all these. Hopefully I don't have to make another trip down there. I've been scavenging these things, putting them on my catfish boat. I've been doing all kind of craziness. That's why that's all rusted up. There's newer ones in here. You need quite a few clamps for this operation. In the past, what I did was and I got this brainstorm from somebody else, and I did it, and I don't like it. And you put these pegs in here, and what you do, you lash everything down. When you're doing glue up, you lash everything down with a tire tube. You run it around. It's like a bunch of squirrel monkeys humping a doorknob, okay? I don't want that. All right, so here's the plan. This is the rail I lay everything up on my bow. We're going to go for hopefully a 30, 35 pound bow. And that way I can work on my form a little better than these two bows here. They're running 40, 45 pounds. Granted, a lot of you macho guys out there, oh, Steve-O, you want to go 65 or better? Yeah, okay, that's fine. You guys go for that. Now, there's a tool here that will help with target panning. I haven't even used it yet. I set it up last night, and it's called a clicker. Got it from Three Rivers, and get it out of here and show you what it's supposed to do here. It does this steel. Hear that? Now, if you're in a hunting situation, you're going to want to put a piece of tape on that thing. Or by then, by hunting season, you're so good you don't even need this thing, you can take it off. And here's the trick on this. You take your string off, and you want it on a downward slope here. And as you pull your string back, what you do is you adjust this thing. You come to full draw, find your anchor point, what you're going to be. Here lately, I've been taking this knuckle right here, my thumb knuckle, and burying it in behind my right ear. Right behind that, in that pocket behind my ear. I'm working on that new anchor point. And with that, it's locked down solid to your face. You want to have everything identical each shot. But the problem is, if you've got a little target, this cures target panic, or helps, okay? I don't know if it cures it, because I haven't used it much, but you adjust this thing until you get to full draw, and then just a slight bit more pull, your back tension starts happening. You get this one click. When you let back the other way, it'll click the other way. So if you drift, happen to start sliding back the other way, you'll get another response. It'll click back like that again. So once you know you're coming to exactly the full draw you want, it takes a little tinkering. It didn't take me long. I was out here maybe 15, 20 minutes fooling around. And what I did is put an arrow in and I aimed at that nut on the wall there. And then I settled into my anchor and I put the tip of my arrow right on that nut over there. And then I start tightening my back tension until I heard the audible click. So once you get that audible click, you know where you need to be, and you can release the arrow. So that's a very cool tool. Got it from Three Rivers Archery. I think it was 16. This is called a clickery deal. Let me show you here. I bought a couple of them. And I'll probably put this other one on this bow that I'm finishing up here. But this is it. Yeah. Clickety click, clickety click. Draw check for all types of bows. Manheim, Pennsylvania. Came from Three Rivers, but you might be able to just call these people direct. It's a 717-606-5124. Very cool. You can eliminate this too, by the way. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube where they're eliminating the chain. But I found the chain to be kind of nice because you can fine tune it. You can fine tune it to that last little bit. So what am I doing out here besides drinking bone broth? Man, is that good. All right, here's my little tool. You can use something like this, okay? You could take this and just scratch it right down. But I've got this little tool I made, and all it is a reciprocating Sawzall blade stuck in there with the teeth hanging out, and you just tighten it up. Now you've got a tool. You have to rough up all this stuff. I just did this one. This goes on the rise. This is 14 inch, by the way. This is going in on the bottom here, underneath. I put a center line too on this beam here, so I can line everything up. There's a center line mark here, and there's a center line marked here on this. But this is not, here's what happens with your bamboo. Say you get a raw piece of bamboo, like this here, puppy. This is not full length, by the way. This is not, I've got another one full length, but this is how it is raw form here. Okay? This is what it looks like when you're getting her all worked down. You're ending up with 1/8 of an inch thick here. That's what you want, 1/8 of an inch thick. It can be a little thicker in the handle like we talked before. But this is what it looks like here. And what you do is you flatten it. You flatten this here on your sander, or you could take a planer, however you want to get it there, it's fine. You could use a hand planer and work this down, clamp it to a rail like this over here. Just clamp it to a rail and start getting it flat. Once you got it flat, then put your template on here. You can either have this made or see if you can get a hold of Boyer Bows. I tried one day and he wasn't in business or something, I don't know. But you put your template on your piece of bamboo that you flattened. Now you've ended up with this, but it's thick. It's real thick. It's still thick, you can see. It's very thick. So then once you do that, you lay your template on your raw piece of bamboo, And then you take a fine Sharpie. Permanent marker, Sharpie. Ultra fine point. See that little ultra fine point is what you want. Then you draw it out, right? With your template on your bamboo. It's still thick. It's still thick. You're not there yet. So then you go to your bandsaw and you cut it out, but you leave about 1/8 of an inch on this, away from the line. Then, and at that point, then you do final thinning, because you've already cut it out. Now you're not cutting, you're sanding all this width. I did it before. I sanded the whole 1/8 of an inch thick. You talk about working your ass off. That was crazy. After I did it once, and I realized, no, that's not what we do. So you cut it out to save yourself a ton of sanding to your basic form, but you're still not there yet. It's still thick. Then you thin it. Now I'm in the process right now of just strapping it on this flat piece, clamp it down. I'm going to clamp it down here, this piece of bamboo, lay my template back on, draw it back out again. I got my clamps here. See, I can clamp this thing down here with my template on there, so it's not going to move around. Now I can fine tune my lines again. Then I'm going to come down. It's already thinned where I need to be. Now I come down and get it right to the line. Now I got a little hand plane, or you can use a number 50 Nicholson rasp. And you just take your time and you come down right to the line, but don't remove it. All right? Then what you're going to do is take your little tool here. I've already roughed up this part here. It's ready for glue up. This guy's ready for glue up. You can see those scratches in there. I actually locked it in my vise over here and got into it and got it nice and rough. Actually, what I'm going to do, this has got a radius corner here on this from the factory. I don't want that on the glue side, so I've actually scratched the wrong side, but that's okay. I'm going to put it back in my vise and scratch this side. I've also got a little issue here with a splinter running down. Actually, I think that's going to be fine because that's going to be into my radius there. I think we're going to be fine with that. This is probably going to get removed anyway. I'm going to keep this side because I've got this splintered out piece right here. I don't like it. So I'm going to use this side. We'll be all right. Okay, so now what I got to do is scratch this side. This is my belly wood. This is the back of the bow here. This is going to be away from you. So once I get this all cut to line and both sides scratched, I am going to be ready for glue up. And this is the rail I'm going to use to glue it up. So let me get my lines done. I can show you that. And then we will get ready for clamp up. We're going to do a dry run on clamps to make sure. I don't want to be mixing up glue and then fooling around at the last second and realize, oh, we ain't got enough clamps here. So you do a dry run, get everything clamped. You get your end blocks because these ends are going to be torqued up. We're going to be torquing the end of this bow up with this piece and this piece. The bamboo and your belly wood both are going to get bowed up on both ends. Just like those bows over there, you can see it, they got a bow up. And it was an extreme too. I put those up probably 4 inches on each end But after you shoot your bow 100 times, it has a little string follow, but it's still not going the other way. If you were to lay this bow up just flat on this rail right here and shoot 100 arrows through it, it's going to have string follow going the other way, and you don't want that. That bow's already weakened. But if you, after you shoot put it up on the ends about 4 inches, then you shoot it 100 times, then you can see right now that bow has still got bow up on even both of those bows. And then when you store them like you see it, with the belly wood looking down. That way it's cradled and there's a little weight hanging. That's the way you want it. Okay, so I'll get this thing set up here, and I'll scratch this wood, and I'm going to redraw this lines on this bamboo and start getting it shaped up and fine-tuned. See you in a bit. Okay guys, I got her clamped down here to the sawhorses, and then I put a couple clamps, spring clamps down there. So all you do claw her up a little bit. This Unibond 800 is a gap filling glue. So with these claw marks you're putting in here on all your mating surfaces, it really bites. It goes into the wood on both sides, and it really locks it up tight. You don't have to get nuts with it. You can see just the marks I'm putting in there. Just do the whole rail. Okay, that's done. That's all there is to it. I got my little 14-inch piece here that's going to get on the riser section. It's roughed up. And the only thing we lack now, I put my lines on here. So after I laid my template back on here, I left this after I flattened it basically. Then I laid my template on, and you can see that I left quite a bit of meat on here, so I don't have as much to flatten. Once I flattened and got it right, then I put my template back on, and see now what I got to do is fine tune it to this line, but not remove the line all the way down this bow. As you can see, I got material to take off of that all the way through. Then what you're going to do, you're going to glue this thing up. This gets glued on. This is going to get roughed up too. This is going to get those two mating surfaces, they're going to get put together with my 14-inch piece underneath on center line. Then you glue that up. Then you're going to let it cure for 3 or 4 days. Then you come back and bring your belly wood to the bamboo, right up to the edge of the bamboo. Now you can hog that off any way you want. You can use a, you can see there's going to be a fairly good amount here at the ends. It's pretty close in the center here, but you'll have a little bit to trim off the entire way. That's why you're making this piece here 1.5 inches wide to accommodate this particular bow. These are simple bows to build. The tillering on them is nothing hardly, because you've already determined pretty much the strength of the bow by the thickness of this material. You could make a 100-pound bow if you wanted to with this. Don't go any thicker than 1/8 of an inch on your bamboo, but you just thicken the belly wood. Those two bows over there are 5/16 on the belly wood. 5/16. This is going to be 1/4 inch. And I'm thinking, I don't know for fact yet, we'll test it and see if this is not about a 30-35 pound bow. This would be a great bow for learning archery techniques and learning proper form. It's hard to learn proper form on a bow that you pull too much tension with. Once you get there and you start working out with those things, you're going to get strong enough to where you can pull back this bow. This is going to add a whole different element to your challenge of archery. But this stuff will keep you in good shape. You want to be shooting every day too, if you can. Try to get out and shoot every day. Even if you're shooting 6 arrows, try to shoot the best arrows you can. All right, I'm going to start working on this now. Fine-tuning this to line. I'll be back. Okay guys, you can see what I'm up to. I got a respirator on. I'm bringing it right down to the edge, and this is not a bad way to go right here. Little cheap Harbor Freight setup. Yep, so it won't take long. Bring it down all the way to the line. I'm right here at the line now. So once I get to the line, we'll scratch this and we're ready for glue up. Then I can come back and I'll probably remove the bulk off of that epee, getting close to this with a bandsaw, and then I'll fine tune it with this setup right here. So as you can see, it's a very simple operation. You don't need a lot of tools to do this, and I'll be back with you and we'll get ready for a glue up. Okay, guys. Got her all dialed in. I learn something new every time I make one of these bows. You know, like anything else, you work on something, you think you got to do it one way, you do it, you bust your ass doing it. The last two bows I did, I took a little palm plane, hand planer, and I set this thing on a rail, and I sat there with that little plane and I worked for probably 2 hours working that thing to the line. Okay, a good 2 hours. You know how long it took me doing this right here? This action. And what's beauty of that, you can come in on this radius, see, and you can get on the inside here. Do you know how long it took me? 15 minutes. This puppy's about ready to glue up. Took me 15 minutes. That thing is nice. And you've got nice, I had little divots, and even with that hand planer, if you get a little aggressive, it'll dip in, and then you got, you know, divots in there and all kind of goofiness. With this deal here, no problemo. It just works right down beautifully. Come right down, sit here in a chair like I am, and come right down here and just work that thing right down to where you want. All right, let's move on to the next deal. I got a clamp at each end of my, clamping it to the sawhorses, to the rail to the sawhorses, and then I just put a spring clamp here in the center, and then I'm doing my little toothing plane action here on my bamboo. Don't forget this procedure, otherwise you won't get a good glue up. I get a little faster each time I do one of these bows. It's like anything else. The more you do, the better you get at it. You can go spend $600-800 to, a lot of these guys out there are doing little seminars and stuff on this kind of stuff, and they charge, I don't know, $600, $700, $1,200 to go to one of their 2-day classes. There's a lot of guys out there doing self bows. You go, they show you how to build a self bow. You give them $600, $800. They furnish usually a piece of wood, and they show you how to put it together. And usually they're 2-day courses. I've never been to one. I've seen enough of it on YouTube. Or you come over to Steve's Outdoor World channel for free and learn how to do bows. Now granted, there's a lot more. You do a self bow like Osage Orange from a billet. There is a heck of a lot more skill and artistry, as far as I'm concerned, in doing that. I've built a few board bows and wasn't impressed with any of them, and most of them broke. You spend a bloody ton of time prepping it and getting it all together, and then it blows up on you. I haven't had any of these bamboo back bows blow up yet. They are one tough critter. Now if you want to spend a lot of time and get these bows really pretty, and yeah, you can do that too. All right, that's ready to glue up. That puppy's ready to glue up. So we'll get into that here. I want to do a dry run first on the clamping. We'll go ahead and do that here too. Okay guys, we roughed up this entire length of this belly wood, but keep in mind, you've roughed up this mating surface will be here, right? This is going to go on the bottom. I put a center line on my rail too, just to line everything up. It just works out easier that way. But you keep in mind, these two roughed up surfaces are going to go together. So you've got center line here. Keep in mind, you're going to have to glue up. This hasn't been roughed up yet, and you don't need this whole thing scratched up. Just where this board is going. So this is gonna be mated to there, but you've got to rough up where this is gonna glue. So this is gonna be glued like this. Now your bamboo glue is here. So keep in mind to do that, rough up this section. So I made 2 marks here, here and here. So now I can flip this over and scratch up this surface from this line to this line. Don't go outside that. You don't need this all scratched up. This is your finished belly wood right here. So you don't need to get that all ugly looking, all right? So I've just put a clamp here. I don't want to get outside of this belly wood. So I made a mark here and here. So just get on top. Just scratch up this entire 14-inch riser section. This basically, when you're putting on this riser section, basically makes the center of this bow non-working limb. Your limb is all working on the outside. All right. Okay, guys. What you're going to need to do is get this. I put one clamp here in the center of the handle. Center of that bulbous handle. You can see I got a center line here. There's a center line there on that. There's a center line on the epee right there. So that lines up. So that was my first clamp. This is dry run I'm doing. Dry run. You want to do this dry run, make sure you got enough clamps. So then I came at the end of the 14-inch riser. I got a clamp there. The same here. I came inside just slightly. Put that clamp and then one in the center of those two. Now what I've done, as you can see, how that is swept up. That's what you want. You do not want to glue this thing up flat on that, because this is after 100 shots, like I told you before, this thing's going to have string follow. So you kick it up. I don't think there's any set science to that. Some guys do. Once you build a few bows and you want to get into this reflex deflex stuff, they clamp it down in the center here. They put a block here, and then they clamp it down here to get that curvature. And then at the very tip, they pull it down the other way. I'm not doing all that with these bows. This is just gonna make a long bow. I guess you can get reflex deflex, you can get more speed out of a bow, but these things I think are going to be fine, plenty fine and fast enough. So I've run this brick in. right to here. I want to get two things that are the same height. You could use a block of wood, whatever. So what I want to do to get this other end the same, I'm going to put a mark right here, right there at the edge of that brick. All right, now let's measure it from the end of the epay. I'm looking at 3/16 basically. Let's just call it 6 1/8. 6 1/8. Come down here, measure 6 1/8. Right there. Get your brick, pick it up, move it under here, move it right up to that edge of that. That's it. Now you've got that thing sweeping up equally. Now it's just a matter of taking your clamps, a bunch of clamps. When you glue up, you're going to want to put one right here on the end. And then you're going to start putting your clamps in like this. Stagger them all the way down. Now to get clamps in here, you can get clamps under here. If you got a little space right here where this is hitting, that's fine. And you go all the way down. Alternate your clamps. See, I can get way down in here with this. So I'm going to continue, load this thing with clamps to make sure I have plenty of clamps. Okay guys, got her glued up. I'm not glued up, but dry run before I glue up. And you can see what I got. You got 5 clamps, Harbor Freight clamps in the middle here. I put one center, one out by the edge of the riser handle. And I've got 38 of these spring clamps in here. I think these were $2, as I recall, and these were like $2.30, I think, for these clamps. These clamps ran me, I think, $2 and change, or $3. I forget now what it was, but anyway. So you can see what I got, and so now I just got to mix my glue up and glue this thing up. And then let her set. I'll let her set for about 4 or 5 days before I take my clamps off. And then what we'll do is cut this down. You don't want to cut this epay to this. It's just too hard to line up. So you've got your bamboo fine tuned. Once you glue up, then you cut your extra epay off. You can see down through there. You got a lot of material up by the bow tips. But that I'll probably go over and just tune up with a bandsaw. My son has a bandsaw, and I'll cut that just outside the bamboo. And then I'll do the same thing I did to fine tune the bamboo. I'll set up my little Harbor Freight sander out there, sit in a chair, and fine tune this epay right down to the bamboo. That's it. Once that's done, you're going to get your number 50 Nicholson rasp, and you're going to 45, just a slight 45 all the way down. all the way down on the top and the side, and this side, and then the bottom. Of course, you have to take this 90 off of here. I showed you that before, how to just cut that off with your rasp and not get into the belly wood. So that's it. Guess I'll glue this up, and then when I delaminate or declamp it, I'll get back with you and we'll do that and start shaping this bow up. Catch you guys later. Be happy. See ya.